We are Team Classy Raptor. My name is Matt Alford, one of the internal producers for our Classy team. And we are very excited to show you the culmination of 5 months of hard work, the final presentation of our game, Sanguine. Sanguine is an action game with a focus on hack and slash combat. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to our team. Along with myself and Graham Martin, we are the production team. On programming, we have Michael Johnson. Brendan Gaylord. Joshua Year. Jason Shutt. Lauren Bernard. Clark Abel. And our art side, we have our art lead, Liz Rudis. Caitlin Earl. Sean Tyndall. Michael Friend. Ray Edwards. Virgil Davis. Charlene Cole. And Andrew Votos. And now I'm going to pass it off to Caitlin Earl to give you the overview of our game.
Hey guys, I'm Caitlin Earl, I'm the lead animator for Sanguine. I just wanted to take a moment real quick to say thank you for coming out here, making the trip, all the friends and family. You're awesome for coming down here and seeing what we have. So you guys should give yourself a round of applause. You guys are awesome. And I also wanted to give a shout out to everybody out in the back lot that couldn't make it in. You guys are troopers for being out there in that hot sun and having that ambience of construction going on around you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what is Sanguine. Sanguine is a hack and slash, and you may ask yourself, well, what's hack and slash? Literally, the definition is in the term itself. You're going around hacking and slashing enemies with a melee weapon. You can't get much more detail than that. Our main character, his name is Beowulf Jones. Yeah, it's an awesome name, right? It's like Snake Plissken, right? What we've noticed in a lot of hack and slash is that the main character is always really angry and strong and huge. And we really wanted to get that in our character as well, so we thought Beowulf Jones was appropriate for that. Something else about our game that's really cool is our enemies. They're ridiculously smart. If you're blocking, they'll break your guard. They will actually do swarming behaviors around you. They'll do projectiles. So as a player, you have to figure out how you're going to negotiate all that. One of the things we did for our player to help him out with that was we gave him pickups, health pickups, ammunition pickups, and we have an adrenaline system as well. And what that does for the player, it allows him to go into a super mode where he's much faster, much stronger, and he can clear an area pretty fast. The other thing we wanted to put in our game was a huge epic boss battle at the end. Something we wanted to do in our game was have the strategy get harder and harder and harder depending on each encounter, and the boss is the pinnacle of all that. So I can sit here all day and talk about what is Sanguine, this and that, all that good stuff, but it doesn't mean anything unless you got some art to go with it. So I'm going to pass it off to Liz Rudis for theme.
Hi, everybody! Hi! You can do better than that. Oh well. So for our theme, we were playing other hack and slash games, and we noticed that a lot of games kind of focus around fantasy or mythology. We wanted to go the complete opposite direction and go with the science fiction feel. So we chose to have an alien planet that's just covered in jungle, and the humans have built an outpost here. And they're doing some bad stuff there. They are experimenting on the aliens that they found. And the aliens got pissed off enough that they started fighting back. So you're trying to come and help your friends at the outpost, but they're not there anymore. They're all gone. So you end up just having to go through and fight off all the aliens just to discover that your friends are all dead. So it's kind of sad. We want it to be really brutal, and to do that, we have blood flying everywhere throughout this whole game. So there's blood fountains when you hit enemies. There's giant pools of blood that appear when you kill one. It's just fabulous. In order to show the huge distinction between the alien area and the human area, we went with a really high contrast color palette. So we have really bright, happy colors in the jungle. Maybe you might want to build a summer home there if there weren't aliens trying to kill you. And inside the outpost, we have a lot of mechanical, dark, dingy, kind of indicative of the getting more challenging and more difficult and a lot scarier the further you go in. So you can't have a really pretty looking game unless it's fun too. So here I'm going to give it over to Clark so he can talk about how we made it interesting.
All right, I'm Clark. I'm the gameplay lead. I don't have any jokes ready like these guys, so I don't know if I'm going to be entertaining. But it's my job to try to keep the game fun, and I'm going to talk about two of the aspects of gameplay that we're most proud of, which is animation canceling and then the enemy behavior. So animation canceling, it's pretty much what it sounds like. When our player character finishes an attack, there's kind of I got a visual for this. There's a recovery phase to the animation, and we don't keep the player stuck in that phase of the animation. This is kind of a standard thing in hack and slash games, but it's important to get right because one of our top priorities when we designed the game was to keep the gameplay fast-paced and make it feel really responsive for the player. So this is one of the ways we achieve this. When the player finishes an attack, he can cancel the rest of the animation by blocking or moving or by doing the next attack in his combo string. He can also cancel attack at pretty much any time by blocking. And the reason for this is we have a lot of enemies attacking the player at once, and so if you start to hit a guy in front of you and you realize that the guy off to your side is going to hit you first, you can save yourself and go into a block. It basically gives it's a forgiving control scheme, and it gives the player a chance to recover if he makes mistakes. And then the other thing I want to talk about is the enemy behavior. The main thing we wanted to achieve was a swarming effect where the enemies constantly try to surround the player. So you'll see they kind of form a ring around him and then take turns attacking him. If they don't have a clear path to the player, they'll use pathfinding to get there, and then they progress into this surrounding behavior. The idea is to keep the player moving, force him to keep moving, and always try to keep these enemies in front of him while they're trying to get around behind him. And the last thing I want to talk about is the way we scale the difficulty as you progress through the game. We have a number of ways to control the enemy behavior. We can control how many will attack you at once. At first it's just one, but then that number increases. And then we can also control the probability of certain behaviors like blocking or retreating or special attacks and things like that. So in that way we hope to make the game not too difficult as you start out, but then ramp up the difficulty as the player progresses through. So that's gameplay. I'm going to hand it off to my buddy Warren here next, and he's going to talk about what went right. And maybe we'll
Thank you, Clark. And before I get into what went right and what went wrong, I'd like to go over some numbers with you. If you look up here, there's a lot of stuff that we did over the course of these 5 months. And quite frankly, it'd be impossible to do unless we all got along as a team. I mean, ever since day one, we haven't really had that much team arguments. We've really been friendly with each other. I mean, we've gone out and done really good team building exercises. We've gone to get food together. We've gone to do bowling, things like that. And things like this is really important during a final project because if you hate each other, you're not going to be as efficient. And so we're really, really proud that we got the team that we have and we've gotten along really well. And so a few of the things that went right because of this is ever since the beginning of our development phase, we decided that since we have a pretty complex game, we're going to have a lot of complex systems. And so we must prototype these systems really early, get them into a stable build for a proof of concept. And this went extraordinarily well. I mean, we knocked out a proof of concept. Everything that we wanted was in. It was amazing. Also, from the beginning, some of the producers and developers decided that we're going to have a certain tool set for us to use to really be more efficient. One of them being Skype, which is a chat client over the internet so we can participate in group conversations, even if we're working at home or on the weekends. If we have a question, somebody's always there to help us. Another thing that we have is an online server system called Mantis. What this is a kind of thing where you can log in and see what tasks you have assigned to you this day or this week. And you can also log defects, you can report issues that you've solved, things like that. So nobody should be stuck on not knowing what to do. Everybody should know what they want to do, and it worked really well. And we're awesome. But not everything was amazing. We did have a few hardships. First of all, GDC happened. GDC, for those of you who don't know, it's called the Game Developers Conference. This was actually almost a week-long thing over in San Francisco, California.